Is the ANC a gentleman's club? Does the lack of female premiers show a lack of female leadership within the ANC? Was Jessie Duarte's outrage for gender imbalance justified? Will South Africa ever be ready for a female president? What time is it? It's question time. Welcome to Question Time. My name is Mpotse. My guest today is the ANC Deputy Secretary General, Jessie Duarte. DSG, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You were very unhappy that only one candidate for premiership made it.
Well, yes, so, not only I was unhappy, a number of other people. We have a policy in the ANC which stems out of years of research, out of years of commitment to a non-racial, non-sexist, united and democratic South Africa. So when we apply our minds to leadership, we have to apply our minds within that policy framework. You know, we don't have a lack of strong, competent women in this country. And when there were not enough premiers, and we then imposed a 60-40% fine if you don't have a woman premier, then 60% of your MECs must be women. The provinces were able to find very competent women to make MECs. 6 of them as opposed to 4 men, yes, except for 2 provinces who stayed within the limit of the actual policy, which says there must be parity at 50-50. But yes, that unhappiness is still there. I think that for me and for many other women in the ANC, that unhappiness comes from the fact that over the last 5 years, we've seen a shift where well, it's always been like that. Chairpersons of the ANC have all been men.
Yes.
Provincial secretaries of the ANC have all been men.
Yes.
And so you get here and there a deputy
treasurers are
women. Treasurers are women, and here and there a deputy secretary is also a woman.
Yes.
So I think that we cannot move away from the struggle begun long ago. And in the words of the late comrade O.R. Tambo, you know, the emancipation of women is not the responsibility of women alone. It's the responsibility of the entire society. Yeah. Also, in our country, women are 53% of the population. And in this last election, 57% of the people who voted, irrespective of whoever they voted for, were women.
So does this percentage, or rather, is it reflected within the ANC membership then?
In the ANC membership, women are actually over 60% of the membership.
Now, why are they voting for men?
That's the issue that we need to develop and raise. When we go to provincial conferences, the mechanism of a slate is where things go horribly wrong. It deprives us as the ANC of both competent men and women in favor of a popular list of people. It deprives us of the energy that comes from people who are activists in their core, who understand that in order for you to change things, you've got to change it from a particular perspective. We do have very good men as well. I'm not slating the men. Yes. I mean, the provincial premiers at the moment are very competent men. But that does not mean that there were no competent women.
Now, should there be a concern that having failed to appoint women superior leaders, perhaps this is going to be reflected at national level, not in terms of appointment, but in terms of responsibilities that are allocated?
Well, if you look at the responsibilities allocated, women have received very senior responsibilities in the current cabinet. You know, I don't think there's fault there, frankly speaking. The reality is that the senior women in cabinet have been given the cutting-edge responsibilities.
Yes.
We have a woman back, Lindy Sisulu back in the human settlements area, because that area is a high priority area for South Africa. Water and sanitation. During the election campaign, our country, people were telling us, you can do everything you want to do, but until there's water here, you have not done anything, you know. So you put that in the hands of a woman. Defense is in the hands of a woman. Energy is in the hands of a woman. Transport is in the hands of a woman. The key priority areas of our country right now is in the hands of women.
Well, it may be good, and I suppose, yes, it is good that Minister Lindy Sisulu is back at Human Settlement, because, I mean, you had a failure in the person of Tokyo Sehwale, who came in. He only slept once in Diepsloot and said he was coming back. The poor woman was still staying in the shack that he slept in. How do you ensure that the promises that you have made as the ANC are translated into action? The people who have voted and are excited that there's a woman in the Department of Human Settlement, can they say, you know what, we can see progress? You
know, you look at people's track record. In the time that Lindy Sisulu was the Minister of Human Settlements, the number of houses that were built were a great number. Yeah. And we actually achieved a number up to 3.5 million during her tenure. I think that she's got the right kind of attitude and commitment. Understands that putting down houses is not a matter of talking about putting it down. You actually have to build them. And having a relationship with the construction industry, which is really straightforward. We cannot have a situation where per square meter we pay 3,000 rand per square meter for a 4-roomed house. This is something that Lindy Sisulu not only understands as a person, but understands because she is also hugely competent in understanding the economic construct of human settlements.
Within a month, Supra Mahuma Pelu has already cracked the whip.
Yes.
One mayor down, probably some to go.
Yes.
What should we read into this?
Let's look at why that mayor was asked to go. You know, Bloemhof, the water crisis in Bloemhof carries on for a couple of months. And you have sewage seeping into the blue water provision.
Yes.
People start having diarrhea, babies die. You know, we're at that point where we're saying as the ANC, look, heads will roll.
Yes.
We're no longer going to accept that, no, shame, I just made a mistake. You can no longer afford to make mistakes of that magnitude or of any other magnitude. Both the municipal manager was suspended and the mayor was asked to go. I think this sends a message. It's not only Supra who's cracked the whip. This was a decision taken by us as an NEC.
Okay.
To say that, and the president made such an announcement, if you don't deliver, the only choice you have is to leave.
Okay. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, we'll look at the challenges that will be facing the ANC government in the next 5 years. We're going to take a break. Please don't go away.
Good evening and welcome to yet another edition of Sports Live, the show that brings you the latest local and international news, live interviews with the who's who in sport. He's the first South African to wear a yellow jersey that was at the Tour de France this year.
It's the first time that we get a boxer who's recognized by the Ring magazine as the best fighter in the planet to visit our country.
And he's very close to world record pace. And in fact, it is a new world record. school.
When you cross the line, what went through one's mind?
None of the four of us knew who had won. The scoreboard is always on the left, but all of us tend to the right. No, we just waited for the country to go down. RSA.
That's Sports Live, daily at 8:30 p.m. on SABC News.
The Kenyan actress is the first from her country to win an Academy Award. Her Best Actress Oscar win has inspired many in Kenya.
Nyong'o's victory has made the headlines in all of the country's newspapers. This was Nyong'o's first role in a film after she had completed postgraduate studies in America.
Players in South Africa's music industry will attend the Music Exchange program in Cape Town, South Africa.
We as Africans, we have to embrace what is unique about us and about our music.
That's Afro Showbiz News, Saturdays, 7:30 p.m. on SABC News.
Welcome back. You're still watching Question Time. My guest in studio, the African National Congress Deputy Secretary General, Jessie Duarte. Now, DSG, you win your traditional provinces. Western Cape still remains a challenge. Is Fransman back in the Western Cape?
Yes.
To fix the mess that he couldn't fix?
Let me say this to Mpo. We actually achieved better results in the Western Cape than we had before.
Yeah.
So I think one must understand the kind of challenge we truly face there is that we have a fairly complacent electorate in the Western Cape. Two different electorates, in a sense.
Yes.
You have a complacent electorate who does not challenge the status quo and never has, and it's historically been like that.
Sure.
So where are they located? Mainly in what is the metro area of the Western Cape. And then you have what we've certainly won large numbers back on is in the Overberg area if you go across the mountain, and in the rural areas. Langa, Guguletu, still solidly ANC as a base. Overberg, Boerland, Grabouw, and those areas show an ANC increase in support. Now, we still haven't cracked places such as Mitchell's Plain, Athlone, Atlantis, despite the fact that national programs have been implanted there by the ANC. Atlantis, for instance, economic development from the ANC national government has gone into that area.
Okay.
Marius is back. He's now the leader of the opposition in the legislature. Okay. And we have a great deal of expectations of him and the team there. Okay. We've met with them. We are discussing with them what sort of an opposition we want them to be. And we're saying, quite frankly, look, we need an opposition that will put the DA on the spot. The DA has not delivered to the people. On the other hand, nobody has actually explained that properly. So we need them not only in the legislature, but actually on the ground.
Okay. Gauteng, David Makura is now the premier.
Yes.
Solid support base for him within the ANC structures.
Yes.
But the ANC almost lost Gauteng. And, well, the DA made inroads. The new kid also, threw some few berets here and there. You are under siege.
I don't think siege is the right word.
Okay.
Look, we won the election. Let's start there.
Yes.
It's only in South Africa where somebody who has 22% is called a winner as opposed to somebody who's got 53%.
Yeah.
And somebody who's got 6% is a winner as opposed to somebody who's got 62%. But we won the province. However, we are concerned. And our analysis shows that our support base in Tembisa, for example, had softened. And in that area, we will have to go and work a lot harder. We also know that in this Johannesburg inner city area, voters did not register to vote. And those who did register...
Probably they don't have papers there, I mean.
Well, please import. But those who did register to vote actually did not get out of their homes on the day of election and go and vote.
Okay.
And even though we had done very meticulous work, street by street level, and we had an anticipation, the voters didn't go out. So we need to work in Gauteng. But the work that Gauteng has to concentrate on is not so much winning hearts and minds only, but actually hardcore delivery. The irony about Gauteng is that it is a province where there has been real tangible delivery in many different ways. It's only in Johannesburg where you can take a bus in Soweto, BRT, get onto the train and go to the airport and take a plane and go to Europe or another continent. This is the only city, actually, where one can do that. But there's also been housing delivery. And I think that where there's needing to beef up is the condition of our hospitals, the condition of schools, the condition of people's day-to-day issues that we picked up during the campaign. I think David Makura is going to do a good job. He certainly has the right orientation, and he's an activist. Yeah. So I think we have the right person in
I'm happy that you have, mentioned the things which are challenges for the ANC. Yes. But I think the biggest challenge, though, is for the ANC to deliver at local level, because that is where people see delivery in action. Yes. And I don't think that your councillors have been taken to task, very much there.
Look, you're quite right. We have overall, I think if one looks at all the municipalities in South Africa, which there are over 200, one can't generalize and say there's been no delivery and all councillors are doing a bad job. Where the councillors are remiss is in reporting back to the people. The biggest complaint we had in this election campaign was that we didn't hear back from the councillor what decision was made in council. We saw the road, thank you very much, but we would have liked somebody to come and tell us what else is coming after the road has been built.
But they don't attend IDPs, that's the problem.
And that's the issue. And the community itself, we need to reorientate ourselves to taking ownership of the areas where we live and beginning to make some clear demands to the people who are the councillors as well. So when you are talking about an integrated development plan, that plan is very community generated and driven. But if the community is not called to the meeting, or the meeting is called on a Saturday when everybody's going to a funeral, or a Sunday morning when everybody's going to a funeral, obviously people aren't going to come to the meeting. So a reorientation is beginning to take shape of how we call people to meetings, when we call them to meetings, and even what we say when we get to those meetings. Okay. And we're very experienced councillors in South Africa. Yeah. We can't deny that after 20 years. We've got some very good people. Sure. It's where the people are not reporting back where we find this social distance that is created.
What happened to John Block?
John Block is in the Northern Cape. He is the chairperson of the province. Let's wait and see the outcome of a court case that's been there since 2003. We worry about the fact that the judiciary is taking so long on this matter. It's really justice denied is a problem here.
Okay. We're going to take a break. When we return, we'll wrap up the program. Look at the outcomes of the Lekgotla.
Sure.
This is Question Time. Please don't go away.
SABC, sharing 20 years of inspiration.
Have we seen the last of you in politics?
I don't know. No, I'm just okay now with the work that I'm doing. Let me just do one thing at a time. So I don't have any plans for politics.
Watch Question Time with me, Mpho Tsedu, Monday to Thursday at 5:30 p.m. on the SABC News Channel.
Zoom into Africa. This is Senegal. The president is Mr. Macky Sall. Senegal withdrew from the Mali Federation on 20 August in 1960. The population is more than 13 million people. One of the major languages spoken is French. Monetary unit is CFA.
Welcome back. You're still watching Question Time. My guest today is the ANC Deputy Secretary General, Jessie Duarte. Now, Ms. Duarte, the Parliament last year had adopted what you call the Women Empowerment Gender Equality Bill, which states that 50% of decision makers, both in government and the private sector, should be women. I know we've spoken about this. Did you touch on this at the Lekgotla?
Yes, we did. You know, the ANC's policy is a parity one, 50-50. So wherever we are in a position of power, the ANC does have a 50-50 parity.
Okay.
But I think we need to also reflect that we have not able to, in South Africa, impose this on other political parties and on business at all. And frankly, Mpho, we can't deny that patriarchy is very much alive in our country. And if we talk away from it, away from class, race and gender issues, we're really not looking at the problem head on. There's a long way to go. We haven't got the platform upon which to build a gender-based society that doesn't look at a woman from a point of view of somebody that should be barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen. Even though in the ANC we have a parity policy, it's a struggle because within our own organization, it's not an unquestioned policy.
Okay. What were the burning issues at the ANC Lekgotla?
We discussed the election campaign and the election results in every province. We looked at what challenges we had ourselves perceived, and in the true tradition of the ANC, we did a great deal of assessment, criticism and self-criticism of where we were, and also patted ourselves on the back for where we had done extremely well.
Okay.
We then looked at how do we take South Africa forward? Where do we go to from the good story to tell? What's the next level to take the country to? Number one is the fact that our economy is not doing well. We analyzed the fact that the strike in the platinum mine is a real difficulty for our country. Our first quarter showed a economic decline of 0.6%, which is big. We discussed the crisis in the platinum mine. We discussed the role of both the trade union movement as well as business in this regard. We also then looked at and reflected on what else we need to do. Our country is energy deficit. In order for us to attract a great deal of investment and to grow our economy, energy must be a very big priority for us. So it was our number one priority. We discussed that at length. with a view to implementing an energy mix which will include nuclear energy, which is going to be controversial. But we believe that South Africa can't not do that.
Okay. Now, the AMCU-led strike made headlines. How do you arrive at a point where you're saying this strike is not necessarily labor-related, but it's a political move?
You know, in the history of our country, and even the most progressive trade unions and the most experienced trade union leaders know when to stop a strike. 5 months without a salary, without food on the table, with the expectation that workers will find a parcel from social development or gift of the givers or somewhere else, suggests that somehow the leadership of AMCU have taken a posture that says we must use the strike to destabilize the platinum sector. We also are aware, and our Minister for Minerals and Energy went to meet with AMCU as it is his job to do. And in that meeting was Dali Mpofu, who is the commissar in the EFF, and raised the political content of why AMCU is on strike and not necessarily the labor issues. And we think that if one looks at the character of the strike, there have been, in addition to the people that were killed in Marikana, there have been 47 additional murders in that area, mainly of NUM shop stewards. Now, I think that we can't look away from this and say the strike is not politically motivated. In addition to that, it is not xenophobic to question why a Swedish man is the partner of AMCU and he talks for the union. I don't know his name, I can't remember that very well. It's not xenophobic. It's a question of why somebody from the ultra-left movement in Sweden is in South Africa generating the thinking behind the strike. And I don't have a difficulty with Matunjo as a person, but I have a difficulty with a trade union leader that cannot see the suffering, that will not come to an agreement. And you know what? The first thing is, there's no worker who doesn't want that money. There's no South African family who won't appreciate an increase in the salary and the amount of food you put on the table. So the ANC is concerned that these workers are getting poorer by the second, and some of them might lose their jobs.
No, now, the woman president subject.
Yes.
Am I talking to the future head of state here?
Oh, no, no, no. I don't have those ambitions. Frankly speaking, I'm very much a backroom girl, not a girl anymore, a backroom woman. However, I do need to say that if one looks at our country very objectively, we have outstanding women who play a role in the international arena, who also play a role here at home. So, you know, to suggest that there isn't material in our country for the possibility and the prospect for a woman to lead South Africa is not entirely correct. It's a struggle we will have to have, and we are prepared to have. It's even a struggle we have to have with other women in our society. I think that what we would need to look at is, who is this woman going to be, and how much support will we give her? I certainly have no qualm about supporting the right woman candidate from the ANC to be the next woman president of South Africa.
TSG, thank you very much.
Thank you.
That was Question Time for today. Our email address, questiontime@sabc.co.za. Twitter handle @questiontime24. From me and the crew, have yourself a wonderful time. Goodbye.